There's no such the fact that they don't, at the very least, have one of the bigger local teams run a league for challengers to help support the players is crazy. AGN, I cannot tell you how it is mind blowing, literally, as we sit here today, to know that the things that are wrong with the league are still wrong with the league. If I had a leak back there, or if I had a hole there that was spewing shit, then I would plug it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's take a look at this.
Privilege to decide that, because last time
Okay, I can't lie, bro. Being privileged as fuck, burning mommy and daddy's money and telling some they need to sacrifice more money because they have a full-time job is absolutely insane and so out of touch with reality. Okay, whoa. What are we talking about here?
And why do they have that privilege to decide that? Because last time I checked, 95% of people in challengers can't make it to the fucking league, and they haven't been able to make it to the league in fucking years. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to fucking talk about, bro. And let's also talk about the scrim schedule, brother. My team's talking about breaking up because apparently none of the challenger teams want to scrim us later in the day. They all refuse to scrim later in the fucking day, which makes absolutely no sense. How are you available from the morning to early afternoon, but not later in the day? Do these people not have a job? Do they not go to school?
Okay, let's pause right there. Zoomaa makes an excellent point. I've spoken to him about his challengers thing. I commended him for making the decision that he did of dropping the entire team when decisions were being made behind his back. I wouldn't put up with that shit either. All right, let's continue. The other thing is this, right? Like, obviously challengers don't get paid as much to have the ability to do this for a living, which is why it's imperative that if somebody does make it out of challengers, they take the opportunity and just fucking don't look back. So he raises a good point, right? Like, are these people? Let's continue. I disagree. I just think, again, if you're in challengers and you can't make a living doing this thing, then fine. You are at the discretion or at the mercy of your work schedule, which you definitely cannot quit and should not quit under any circumstances, because that is the fuel that you need to allow the comfort level of your life situation in order to pursue what you are dreaming of. All right, let's continue with the crash out. I do love me a little Tommy crash out.
Scrim us later in the day. They all refuse to scrim later in the fucking.
Now, is everybody not scrimming in the Dr. Umar in the later on in the day?
Which makes absolutely no fucking sense. How are you available from the morning to early afternoon, but not later in the day? Do these people not have a job? Do they not go to school? Do they not do fucking... Like, how the fuck does that make any fucking sense? So what, do they just play CoD all day for $0? They just play CoD all fucking day for $0.
To be fair, and I know he doesn't mean this, but people have been playing CoD all... I mean, I would say that 99.999% of the population plays Call of Duty for $0. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being facetious here.
They wonder why. And then on top, and then after that, they talk about how a Challengers Cup means nothing, brother. Bro, our team was a team for not even 24 hours, and we took the top 2 team from Major 3 to a map number 5 on an 80 ping. And they responded to our team saying nobody's gonna scrim you guys because you guys are just like a fucking joke of a team. You guys are like, they're taking the team as like a fucking joke. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, brother, who the fuck do these motherfucking challenger players think they are, brother? Because last time I checked, Symbols was fucking dropping 15 inserts on their forehead on an 80 fucking ping. Who the fuck do they think they are? Sitting there with mommy and daddy money, privileged as fuck, not doing shit with their, roasting Symbols for having a job. I'm saying he needs to sacrifice more if he wants to fucking get scrims. Brother, fuck you. You need to saying he needs to sacrifice more if he wants. Symbols was fucking dropping 15 inserts on their forehead on an 80 fucking ping. Who the fuck do they think they are? Sitting there with mommy and daddy money, privileged as fuck, not doing shit with their, roasting Symbols for having a job, saying he needs to sacrifice more if he wants to fucking get scrims. Brother, fuck you.
Yeah.
Brother, you need to stop being fucking, y'all need to stop being fucking morons. And fucking, y'all need to go get a job and stop being a fucking loser gimp all day, and everybody should be screaming about it. And then I had some guy tweet me, oh, coming from you, you're so privileged, you're looking at me.
Listen, Linda, listen. The thing is this. Anybody that comes, and I'm obviously sort of like speaking for me and my friends here a little bit, but okay, Tommy doesn't come from a rich family, okay? No one should ever throw him making money in his face, okay? Period. You know what I'm saying? He's privileged now after going through the fucking gauntlet, okay? And even then, like yeah, there's some privilege to it, of course, but
when I was on Envy playing professional Call of Duty, I worked at ShopRite. I was going to Montclair State University full time. I had classes full time, okay? And I was playing football, and I was playing a sport, working a job, going to school, playing a sport, and playing for Envy at the professional. At that time, I had already won an event while working a job and going to school and doing all.
That is the only, God damn it, that right there, Tommy, is privilege. That right there. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Tommy, not all of us are born, okay? Not all of us are born with your hand-eye coordination, okay? Our brain does not connect to that is the only privilege that I give you. I'm jealous. That is the only thing. Because you were able to do that because you had the skills, brother. You know what I'm saying? You don't think that I would want to do that? I don't think somebody in the chat would want to do that. Of course. They're just not as good as you, Tom. We are not just as good as you, Tom. But aside from that, I agree with 100% of the things he's saying.
All this shit. You know what I'm saying? So don't fucking sit here and tell me, get a job, going to school, playing a sport, and playing for Envy at the professional. At that time, I had already won an event while working.
Yeah, that's all skill.
A job and going to school and doing all this shit. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So don't fucking sit here and tell me what my life was like growing up.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sit here and tell me that.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Nah. Fuck that. And you want to talk about the stream? Guys, I'm very lucky and very grateful to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I again, I agree with what he's saying. I think everything that he said has some good points. I was being a little bit facetious when I was making sort of claims against his abilities as a Call of Duty player. But that is a case, right? Like, your skills as a Call of Duty player were so good that even when you were distracted with school, with work, and with soccer, your skills were still at that level where you could just fucking pick up the controller and just, like, you know, the hard work came in with the understanding of the game. So yeah, why haven't the Challengers events lost so much respect? Is it because of funding or just people not caring about it? I think there shouldn't even be a Challengers division. There shouldn't be a Challengers division. There should not be a Challengers division at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should just be Call of Duty Esports. And they who have the ability to compete should compete. You know what I'm saying? What we're doing right now is we're sort of putting shackles on Challengers teams, that we're putting shackles on them from the point of nobody is going to be able to get a team together, right, with the means that they have to pay them what they can in order to take them to compete against the Optics, against the Thieves, against the Phases, against the Coovers of the world, to make a name for themselves, to pique some fucking interest from some sponsors that will say, yo, you know, we like what you guys are doing, blah, 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 blah. It's like it's got to be beyond tough right now to try to build an organization in this system. It has to be. So you have to be smart. Everybody's playing with the same rules. Everybody's going to try to push the envelope as much as they can with these rules. Everybody's going to try to bend the rules as much as they can. That is just human nature. But the rules are the rules, and therefore that...
They have that privilege.
Sorry. And so, yeah, I don't know. Challengers should just be able to go against pros. 100% finito. Serious questions. How do the orgs handle sponsorships when the teams don't have success? How is it correlated? I can tell you that because of the way that the system is, sponsorships come in because they get to advertise, right? A championship is not going to get you It's not gonna get you sponsorships. That happens later on in the day, and later on in your years. And the reason that happens is because if you are playing all 3 days in front of 30,000 people on one channel, 45,000 people on another channel, 20,000 people on another channel, 5 here, 5 there, and you're in front of, your brands are being advertised to 100,000 people, that's value to them because that can turn into a conversion in sales. Mountain Water puts a sponsorship somewhere, someone's, oh shit, this Mountain Water Valley supports Optic. I'm gonna go support them because they support my favorite team, and I know that the money that they make is going towards salaries, or going towards cameras, or going towards this, and going towards that, and blah blah blah. Cemetery, Ian, care how long it takes. I'll make an org myself from scratch, even if it takes years to learn networking skills. You don't need them. You don't need networking skills. You think Ultra held him from other teams because he made a lot of teams better, or he's good with? What are we talking about here? Now Ultra. Who are you guys talking about? Mercules. Gotcha. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, there are challenger players who come in and get slammed, but the whole Merc situation is what's dumb. What's dumb with it? What's dumb with that situation? And all right, so Cemetery, just going back to you on the networking conversation, like, you don't really need any of that. You need to find, if you're not the player, right? If you're not the player and you want to start an org, that's going to be a little bit more difficult, because then you're going to have to come with something. You're going to have to say, hey guys, I am going to handle all of the managerial stuff. It's going to be all above board, right? And then you get into the difficulty of player transfers and player, the revolving door of players. Because it's not like you can start an org and say, hey guys, right off the rip, this is what I'm going to give you guys in terms of equity. So then at that point, if I'm you, then I say, hey, we're going to create this thing. You guys are going to get X percentage of whatever comes in. And then the org is going to take 20% for, call it 25% for taxes and for managerial stuff. But the investment has to come up front. And you have to be fucking iron tight with your plan as to how you're going to do this, or you are going to just be wasting fucking money. Because the last thing that you want to do is you don't want to become a farm system, unless you're getting paid to, of course. You don't want to become like a farm system that just creates players to let them go. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't agree with any of it. I don't agree with fucking any of it. It makes everything so much more difficult. It makes the development of Call of Duty esports and its growth happen so much slower because of the amount of restrictions that we've put on ourselves. For what? To pretend that we are traditional fucking sports? Why? What we have is hot. What we have is exciting. What we have is the youth pushing a sport. So for adults to try to get involved and dumb it down, or to complicate it, or to just fucking interfere for business sake, makes no sense. No sense. For what? For what? Have you guys seen what's going on? Like, think about how many basketball players now, I'm talking about rich basketball players right now, have their own fucking podcasts. Where do you think that fucking came from? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we're the ones that we were the ones. Esports was the ones that was pushing those boundaries because we were born in the internet. And traditional sports was trying to catch up to living on the internet because that was just not what they grew up with. So for what? Why were we the ones that were trying to mirror something that was not going to be left in the dust, but it was already established and had no DNA of the internet in its composition at all? HecZ, why do you think the CDL hasn't branched off into Europe and so on, as I think there's so much untapped talent? Because it's not about talent, Terminator Teddy. It's not about talent. It's not about that. It's not about that. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. It shouldn't be about that right now. Okay. And when I say that, I mean that the league shouldn't be focused on Europe and all that. We have all the European players that are the creme de la creme. Are there more that are out there that are undiscovered? 100%. But the league needs to be focusing on getting the league right before they focus on anything else. You know what I'm saying? Right now, it's building. I just don't understand. I for the life of me, I don't understand how smart business people can't see that there is no viable product unless the product is allowed to develop the way that it would develop. It's like putting a horse to race before it reaches the maturity age to race. The average career will last until the horse is 4 or 5 years old. Okay, so the training, the racetrack, thoroughbred racehorses typically begin racing at 2 or 3. So at 2 or 3, this means that the second that they were 1 year old, they put a saddle on them. They put the blinders on them. That's what they did. They put a saddle on Call of Duty. They put blinders on Call of Duty, and they said, "Go make some money by racing." We should have developed longer. Everybody should have just gotten out of the way. And it may have been our fault for asking for help. It may have been our fault for asking for spectator privileges. It may have been our fault for saying, "Hey, can you make the maps 3 lanes so it's a little bit more competitive?" Who knows whose fucking fault this was? But we are not where we should be, and it's partly our doing, but it's mostly somebody else's doing. But the problem is that, man, it's like, we built it to something, and then CDL happens. We go fucking backwards and backwards and backwards, and then we just sort of became stagnant. I should have known this, right? But I don't pay attention to to details like these. But we haven't had new PCs. I literally just was told this last week when one of the computers broke. That says that it's like, yo, teams because broken PCs, bro, broken PCs. We haven't had new PCs at all, which means that we're still playing on what? I don't even want to tell Maddie. What, 1090s? I don't know what we're playing on. But this is part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always felt as though the league is there just so that they can take their cut. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like putting forth, we have a league with PCs that haven't been updated in 4 years. And oh no, probably now that I'm talking about it like this, then new PCs are on the way for sure. But the thing is like when we asked in the past, call it 2 years ago, if we can get our own PCs, what do you think they said? They want to control everything, and they can, and they do. Unbelievable. Same PCs. Pure Jump, has the league ever considered something in the form of draft picks? For example, at the start of each season, all right, listen, yes, whatever idea you just had, yes, everybody has had it. 90 people have had it. League should consider a draft pick system. Each team gets 2 picks at the start of the year. See, right now you're just adding money to the expense column. It's not that people don't want to have those things. They get the right of first refusal. See, like, of course, man. Like, look, yes, man, yes. It's not gonna work. The OWL is so slept on and can be explored. That's where I'm trying to go. You're trying to bring back Overwatch League, dude. Then I wish you more luck than ever. It's Overwatch League PCs from 7 years ago. I don't know if that's true. I don't know, but that is what JP said. And why the fuck would he lie about that in a private conversation in front of 30,000 people?